Now, the curtains of the ICC 2023 World Cup closed just last night, with the Aussies basking in the glory of a triumph that silenced an entire nation. Just like how the six-time champions now turned the tables when it really mattered. World number one, Novak Djokovic's victory at the ATP Finals in Italy, his record seventh time, executed a similar sort of turnaround. He found himself fighting against the same opponent who he had lost to in the round-robin stage. But he refused to be contained. That loss didn't break him. Instead, it flipped a switch. A common thread between the Aussies and Djokovic is quite obviously their resilience, their mental tenacity. The only distinction, however, is when Australia bounced back after a bumpy start at the ICC World Cup, it was a collective effort of 11 men and the support staff picking each other up. But Djokovic is a one-man army. Yes, he has a support staff, but he was well aware that he will be playing in front of a boisterous crowd alone that won't cheer for him, that will be backing his opponent. But against the backdrop of the deafening noises, it was his skill that created the most impact to silence the crowd.
It was celebration time for captain Serbia yet again. Novak Djokovic has seized the ATP Finals crown for the seventh time. And with that win, Djokovic also broke Roger Federer's record of 6 season-ending titles. The world number one defeated Jannik Sinner at the Nitto ATP Finals and secured a straight-set victory of 6-1, 6-3 against the Italian. But this victory, in its true essence, tells a story where the heroes rise from the ashes. The tournament started off with Novak losing to Sinner in the group stage. And 5 days after that defeat, the two faced a rematch in the final, where Djokovic avenged his loss against the 22-year-old. When it came to the most important match of the tournament, he was present, the intent was acute, and he knew exactly what to do. Champions are known for their response during adversity, and that's what separates Novak from the very best in this sport. He did exactly that when he knew his final was against the same competitor who also happens to be a home favorite.
He's going to have crowd on his side. I know what to expect, and I think having already a match against him and this kind of atmosphere helps me prepare better. And the performance of tonight really gives me good feelings ahead of tomorrow's final because I've played my best match of the tournament so far. I think it also serves as a great preparation tool, I guess, analyzing that match that we played a few nights ago and understanding what needs to be done better in order to win from my side. He has been the best player of the tournament so far, won 4 out of 4 matches and played some great tennis, obviously riding on the big wave of support of his Italian crowd here.
Djokovic's coach, Goran Ivanisevic, in fact said that after losing to Sinner, he shut himself off from his team for a while and stayed by himself. Perhaps that was the awakening the inner monster within him needed.
I knew as soon as he got into the semi-final, he's going to win the tournament. The mentality changed. The new Novak Djokovic arrived on the court from Saturday. When real Novak Djokovic arrives on the court, then in that moment there is nobody that can play with him. You could see in his eyes. It's very tough to beat Novak twice in 1 week in the same tournament.
Goran, who has now been with him for over a year and a half, recognizes his moods and his psyche more than ever. And he couldn't be more wrong. Djokovic was triggered by the loss at the round-robin stage and then transformed that fire in him to subdue Sinner in the final. True to that, Novak changed his game plan and refused to be defined by those early blows. The round-robin stage between Djokovic and Sinner lasted for over 3 hours, where his opponent lured Novak to make errors. Djokovic played more backhand strokes during the group match. But come the final, he executed a different plan, converting most of the strokes to his forehand. But that doesn't come as a surprise. He's done it in the past and against the very best. Novak lost to Roger Federer in straight sets in 2015, but went on to win the title, beating Federer in straight sets. That's the monster that he is, clearly showing the mentality of a champion who cannot take a loss without turning it around. This would have been the biggest career title for Sinner, and hearing the crowd echo your name adds to the fire. The louder the cheer, the stronger is the confidence for athletes. Djokovic ensured for Sinner that moment is short-lived. He wrapped up the game in just 1 hour and 45 minutes. The sweet revenge might have ended against Sinner, but Djokovic is far from stopping and refuses to be contained.
Rune, Alcaraz, and him are, you know, the big three, next big three, if you want to call them, and they're going to carry the sport. You know, I will hang on for as long as I feel like hanging on, as long as that I'm still I think as long as I'm able to win against them on the big stage, I'll still keep going, because, you know, why stop if you're still, you know, winning the biggest titles? But once they start to, kick my butt, then I will consider probably having a little break, or maybe a permanent break from professional tennis. But
he now sits on top of the ATP rankings as the world #1 for the 400th week. For the rising stars, Djokovic isn't simply an opponent, but a force of a different species altogether.